Carnitas, I am Sora the Foxy, back to you live. As always,
SorathFXY said,
I hope you all are
join
having
our
a
Discord
wonderful
for
day.
VR fun https://discord.gg/3pdgmenki. Stream Elements said, SorathF0XY is now live. Streaming Just Chatting. Foxy Tales Episode 2. Traditional Medicine and Their Place in Modern World.
I need to turn down my speech chat bot. That was so loud. There we go. Okay, everyone. I am Sora the Foxy. Welcome back to my Star Tales. Today, I am joined by someone I've known for a few years now. Don't interact with them much, just because. Just that's life. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Tobias Locuson. A lot of people call me Toby. I've met Sora back at a Renaissance festival, and we really clicked. And I guess the rest is history.
Ain't everything's history, but we are the winners, chat.
For real. I mean, listen, when you saw a fox, you had to stop.
Yeah. And we are the foxiest stream around.
Oh my god, I know so many fox people. Oh my god, no wonder it's chaos.
Indeed, we are mischievous little fuckers. Anyway, today, chat, we are back with another episode of The Fox's Tale. As always, there's going to be a theme. Today's theme is traditional medicine and their place in the modern world. We'll be talking about common herbs. Toby here will give you a few recommendations for books, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a few recommendations on common herbs you'll find in your yard, and some of their traditional and some of their uses, as well as uses culinarily, because traditional medicine plays such a huge part in the culinary world. It is insane how little we think about it. Even spicy food plays a part in medicine. Having said that, I think first off, we'll talk about how a lot of people look down on traditional medicine, why that's not a bad thing, because modern society has changed, we have more advanced things. That'll be the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, that's a great topic to get started on too, because there is a lot of warnings when it comes to traditional medicine, as well as a lot of benefits.
One thing I like to always think about is how hard foraging was up until recently, where things have become more chill with foraging. But for the longest time, you go into a national park, like the whole idea of national parks, you can't go and pick stuff. That was something that was so done solely, basically, to gatekeep foraging.
A little bit.
And it's so sad, because state parks, you would go in there, people who used to forage, this would be the poor, those with less to gather, less things. People, I mean, go back all the way, like, right after slavery, I mean, a lot of places would not allow people into them.
This is true. There's also a little bit more about the national parks than just gatekeeping. National parks, when they originally were established, there's a podcast I love to listen to called National Parks After Dark, and they cover a lot of the history of national parks. And one of the things was that when the areas were first seen, they were beautiful, amazing. Like, the American landscape is absolutely breathtaking, and they wanted to preserve that beauty. What they didn't realize was that part of the beauty of the land was the fact that Native Americans were tending it. They were stewards of that land. They were taking out diseased plants. They were encouraging new growth by foraging. It's humans having their part the same way as any other animal would. So when Native as well as poor folks were told, hey, you can no longer take the precious plants that are inside of our national parks, the parks actually started to become less beautiful. They became more wild and overgrown. And it became over time, it's become obvious that we do need to allow people back into these parks for foraging.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't brushed up on current laws.
I think a huge part of that is a lot of what are now state parks, what they originally were what's known as living gardens. These were basically habitats of food that Native Americans over time propagated, they took care of, and eventually they became their own ecosystems with the food, the things these people foraged, and that was living gardens. A lot of them aren't around anymore because we've basically stopped foraging in modern society. We've made it where that info is kind of not lost, but looked down upon.
It is dying. Right now, our hunting and gathering is hunting for the keys and gathering groceries at the store, rather than, getting out in the wild where, like you said, we are a key part of the ecology. We are a key part of the biology. And to remove ourselves from that and just allow everything to be conveniently in a store, it has done damage in both directions. It's done damage in our environment, but it also has done damage to our collective history and knowledge as humans. We've lost a lot of that knowledge of nature. You'll see a lot of kids, some kids will actually be very intuitive about... Now, don't get me wrong, kids will put things in their mouths they're not supposed to. But anyone who's ever been with kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But there are also a lot of things that I always wanted to put in my mouth as a kid that I am finding out that most of the things I want to put in my mouth were incredibly safe. I mean, there is one thing, the Casal dogwood. It produces a fruit that kind of looks like a raspberry on steroids. And it is so tasty. It tastes... best way I've heard it described and how I would describe it myself is a mixture between persimmon, banana, and peach.
Ooh. See, I'm not familiar with dogwood because I'm from the West Coast originally.
It's planted all over the U.S.
Yeah, we have a different kind of dog.
Is one of the most common ones, but I love urban foraging and it has become one of my favorite fruits to forage during early and late fall.
That is interesting. Yeah, I'll take a look at it this year because right now, this time of year, I have my eye on the pine trees.
Oh, I can't wait
make
to
pine
make
syrup.
Pine soda.
Yes, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm like got my eyes on the pine trees. Like, you got those buds yet? You got those buds yet?
I've actually been looking for juniper berries because I really want to eat some this year.
Juniper berries, you want to wait till closer to August, I think.
Yeah, but you can find them in spring and stuff.
Yeah, they're just usually bitter. If I'm remembering correctly.
They're always bitter, but they're incredibly tasty once you get over the bitterness.
Oh yeah, I love this is a little off topic, but I used to work for Starbucks and I worked during the time that they had the juniper latte. And baristas who aren't familiar with like more herbal flavors, they're used to more processed sugary flavors, it'd be like, oh, it tastes like pine sol, it tastes like a floor cleaner. And if you actually take the time to taste juniper and actually like get to know its flavor, it's way more complicated and way more layered than just pine sol. It has a beautiful, it does have a piney flavor to it, but not in like a cleaner sort of way. It's got like a herbal spiciness to it. If you ever had like arugula or
I've heard people compare it to basil.
Yes, basil and arugula, like together with a little bit of like there is a slight sweetness to it, but it's not a sugary sweetness.
My favorite description of juniper was from someone I was foraging with early spring, well, this year actually. The way they described it was orange peel mixed with sage and basil, and then all melded together into one little thing.
Huh? Yeah. Like I said, it's been a while since I've had that latte, but Sage is a good one because I basically told people, I was like, if you like rosemary and sage and basil and oregano, if you like those herbal sort of flavors, even if you do like a basil lemonade, which by the way, if you've never put basil in lemonade, do it.
So good.
It's so good. Jinx. Me a
Shit, I
pine
can't
soda.
talk. Chat, say my name 3 times.
Oh no. Does it work if I say it? Sora. Does it work if I say it? There we go. Oh man, I forgot about that part of Jinx when I was a kid. Oh man. But yeah. So on modern medicine though, like to get back to the original topic, was that it is looked down upon. I am someone who I'm not in the best financial situation, and so I can't always afford to go out and buy over-the-counter medicines. Now, my insurance obviously will cover anything prescribed, but you're not going to always get words are hard. You're not always going to get prescribed a cough medicine. They're like, oh, get some Robitussin. Okay, cool, but like Robitussin costs an arm and a leg, or what if I'm still sick?
And it's not
That's
just
where
that.
I start.
A lot of people I've seen a lot of people put Robitussin behind the counter because a lot of people use it to get hot.
Yes.
And to trip.
Then that's the other side of it, is that a lot of over-the-counter medicine is now being abused for recreational purposes, which I'm not going to go into that too much because that is a huge tangent about our comment on our social structure and everything else in our country. But
that's for
a whole episode.
I want to do something like that, but I'm still getting the groove of this. I'm doing topics that are digestible.
They're safe. Yeah. But to do touch on that though a little bit is, like you mentioned earlier, that a lot of marginalized folks, like I love Alexis Nicole. She's the Black Forager. She's actually recently hit a lot of strides. Honestly, I'm so just proud of her. Like, I remember when she was so small, and now she's like part of an Emmy award-winning documentary. She's on
one is poison and one is a snack.
Is it this or that? I love those. Also, happy snacking, don't die. So yeah, if you need a really good, reliable source for foraging, that you're just like, there's all these crazy things out there and I can't make heads or tails of it, Alexis Nicole is my singular go-to for anything foraging, because she has trusted sources. So you can have her be your seed and you can branch out.
I will say though, chat,
Safely.
Just because you watch her, you have to remember, if you guys get into foraging, look at foragers in your area, in your country.
Yes.
Because there are going to be things that are different. For example, even in the US, there are things that the Black Forager has gathered I can't find here. I've looked online to see if they can find them. That you can. It's just not likely. And there's going to be a lot, based on where you live, there could be a lot more dangerous lookalikes.
Yes. Also, that I'm gonna touch, I'm assuming later we might touch into more of the mycology side of things with mushrooms. But that's another area of interest for me, as well as, not expertise, but
I definitely have much about that because I'm not as knowledgeable with mushrooms.
That's fair. I actually have foraged mushrooms.
Chicken of the woods, though. That's my favorite mushroom to forage.
That is the safest one to forage. That and chanterelles.
By the way, chat, I've heard turkey tails is a lookalike to chicken the tails. It is technically edible. It can be used in tinctures. It is medicinal, but do not eat a lot of it. It is highly woody as well.
Ironically, my partner just messaged me. Apparently, golden oyster mushrooms are running rampant across the United States, and people are being encouraged to forage them. So, a golden oyster mushroom, you can find them in the grocery store usually. People have been buying these at-home grow kits, and oyster mushrooms are the invasive species of the mushroom world. They're the kudzu of the mushroom world. They're a similar color to chanterelles, to golden chanterelles and chicken of the woods. They will grow similarly to chicken of the woods, where they will be on a tree or around the base of a tree, but they do grow on decaying wood. They're very popular. They grow very easily, and they're invasive in a lot of places. Very, very they taste like a little fishy, not in a bad way, but like a little bit like seafood. I harvested some
they're
white
great
oysters.
Chat. Also, just so you know, just because we're talking about mushrooms right now, I highly recommend that if you do forage for mushrooms, you do not eat them on the spot. You have 2 different
Never.
baskets with you, and if you are gathering more than one type of mushroom, do not mix baskets starting off, because if you accidentally pick one that's poisonous and you put it in the basket, or you touch one that's poisonous, you are going to infect your entire gathering thing. So if you are interested, that's something you want to do not go and just touch mushrooms and go touch your others and say, oh yeah, it's fine. That is how you die.
Yes and no. I want to clear up a misconception on this though. Touching a poisonous mushroom is not how you'll die. You can touch a poisonous mushroom all you want. It's don't put that hand in your mouth. So if you're collecting mushrooms, don't wipe your mouth or anything. Wash your hands or use gloves. But make sure every single mushroom that before you use it is washed and debugged. That way, if you did accidentally gather a mushroom that did touch another mushroom, it is not going to spoil your whole foraging in that way, because they don't pass poison that way. They have to be ingested. The poison with mushrooms comes from being broken down.
I think that's something that
yes and no.
I'd rather make sure they know the dangers.
So the reason why I'm trying to clear it up is a misconception is it's caused too much fear in the foraging community, and it scares people away from it. So it is a fear-mongering tactic that a lot of people have used. So the biggest advice that people give in the mycology mushroom foraging area is forage with a buddy who's already more knowledgeable than you are. Always keep a trusted guidebook on you, not an AI one. There are a lot of AI books out there. I don't have a mushroom one yet that I would recommend, but Alexis Nicole, I think, has a few that she recommends. Never ever ingest a mushroom until you are 100% sure of its identification. To give you an example of a time that I could have potentially picked a poisonous mushroom but didn't because I knew it, was the white oyster. My friends in Kentucky, I found white oysters growing on their property, and I know how oysters grow, and I know how to identify an oyster. But if you don't know how to identify a white oyster, destroying angels can look similar, and destroying angels, you will not survive.
Oh yeah, puffballs I think are one of my favorite. That it's like, chat, puffballs are delicious, but there's a very, very similar look-alike. Earth balls or mud balls is named after them been given.
Don't any fungus that grows in a ball, just don't do it unless you know what you're doing. Because puffballs, even them, they have a small window that they're good to eat, and then once they go to spore, you can't eat them. They are rough on you. But away from mushrooms though, because like you said, you didn't want to get into too much. I love mushrooms. I could talk about them all day. I actually have the mushroom, my very first mushroom I ever foraged. I have it tattooed on my shoulder. So I love mushrooms.
I will say one of the favorite things I like to do when I go out with friends who don't do foraging is I'll just go up to a turkey tail, because I know I'll take a small little bit of it, just enough to kind of like scare my friends. I'll just pop it out and be like, Woody.
I haven't tried.
And then I explain to them what I just ate and why I knew what it was.
My favorite foraging.
Doing that.
No. My favorite foraging trick for new people is oxalis, wood sorrel. Is I love plucking a little bit of wood sorrel, which people often mistake as clover or shamrocks, and I will eat it, and they're like, "Why'd you just eat that?" I'm like, green apples," and they're like, "Wait, what?" And I'll pick it for them, and I'll give it to them, and I'm like, "This is 100% safe to eat, unless you're on dialysis," which you probably aren't.
So, chat, make sure when you're foraging, that when you forage, you know what the medicinal effects are as well. Because if you are on dialysis or you're on blood pressure meds or anything, a lot of these herbs and stuff have medicinal effects in those kind of fields. For example, dandelion and hennebit both have properties for blood pressure control. As well as water retention and stuff like that. Or
foxglove is a Foxglove is one I like to use as an example, but the foxglove is a caveat. Please keep in mind, it is technically poisonous. However, it has medicinal properties because what foxglove does is it increases your heart rate. So if you are a healthy human with a normal heart, or even you have like tachycardia where your heart rate's a little bit higher, foxglove absolutely can kill you. But if you have a slow heart rate, I think that's arrhythmia. I'm not a I don't know all my medical terminology. But if you have a slower heartbeat, foxglove can actually help bring your heartbeat to a good, healthy level in very small doses. So that's a little more of a complicated topic that we won't touch too much, but that is a good example of like sometimes the good stuff is poisonous to you if you're not in a good medical situation. Sometimes the poison is good for you if you're, depending on your medical stuff.
As I just said, that's something where technically it's poisonous, but it has medicinal properties. But
yes.
Having said that, let's talk about a little bit the culinary side though, because that's something I'm a little bit more interested. A lot of most food, like most seasonings, they are derived from, oh, this tastes good, oh, this has medicinal properties, oh, over time, oh, now I like it more because I've grown accustomed to these flavors, and now I no longer know it's dangerous, so I can enjoy it better. Spice, like spicy food is a great example of that, is because back in the day, they did not have storage. A lot of the storage methods we use now, like fridges and stuff, they did not have. So they had to eat things on the spot a lot of the time. Spicy foods helped keep the immune system up, preventing diseases and helping save a lot of lives. But it was also seen as poison in Europe and more northern countries where that was not as needed. They believed spicy food was a poison.
There's another bit of that when it comes to like cheeses and stuff with the Norse and natives. But I wanted to touch on something really quick though from the previous topic with the warnings about traditional medicine, how some people will look down on it. This will lead into the culinary. It is good to have an area of like skepticism because there are certain medical conditions that do need medical attention by medical professionals. So if somebody's like, oh, I've got a cough, you can use some thyme, Thyme, the herb, some little bit of thyme, hyssop, horehound, honey, stuff like that will all help with coughs. And it's more or less how we made cough syrups. But leaning into the culinary uses of it, for those who are, again, in economic situations where they can't necessarily go out and get medicine, but they might be able to buy food, because if you're in America, food stamps can buy herbs, they can buy seeds, which means you can buy seeds for herbs and grow your own. Fun fact. You can buy sugar. If you have access to a heat source, whether that is a gas stove or an electric burner, a pot to put water in, and you have some sugar, and you can buy in bulk herbs, you can make your own cough syrups, and you can make your own little like tinctures and syrups and stuff like that. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, I've got hiccups. You can make little tinctures and syrups like that on your own on a culinary level. Also making spice blends. So I deal with depression. It's that's a thing. And I have what I like to call my anti-depression seasoning. It's not an antidepressant. Like I'm not gonna make those claims, but the herbs have properties that can actually help boost chemicals in my body that make me feel happier, or at least make me feel less sad. And so I put that on food that I enjoy eating. So like a steak. Like for me, come at me vegans, I'm a filthy not vegan. But like I love steak. So a good steak with that seasoning on it, I actually genuinely feel better. Part of it's placebo. Part of it is I'm using herbs in a way that are medicinal. Also using them consistently. So herbs of themselves aren't going to have, like aspirin, for example. Willow bark is where aspirin comes from, essentially is where it came from originally. But the amount of willow bark you would have to use to equate one aspirin is not feasible in a daily use. So, like I said, time is a natural cough suppressant. If you just sprinkle some thyme in your hand and lick your hand, like, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a practical use of it. But if you make a tea from it, or you're using it consistently in your cooking, it's micro. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of microdosing when it comes to like mushrooms or, other medicines or something. You microdose. Herbs in a culinary application are a similar sort of thing. You're getting those micronutrients. You're getting those small benefits over a long time. So your body is building it. You're giving yourself building blocks. So if you only use salt and pepper, you are cheating yourself from a lot of really great benefits by using herbs. And yeah, maybe they taste kind of funky in the beginning, or you're not quite sure how they're going to taste because you're not familiar with them. Go to people who cook a lot. Among my friends, shameless plug, but I make my own spice mixes, and I've started selling them to my friends because they've wanted to buy them. They're like, your cooking is really good. I really love the herb combinations that you do. And I'm like, cool, here's the seasoning. I'll just give them the seasoning, to the point where now they're like, can I just buy like a 5-pack of your different seasonings? So if you want, Sora, I don't mind giving a few of my herb mix recipes to your audience if they want to try some stuff at home.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll give you like 3 different ones. I can give you a spicy one, a herbal one, and a more citrus ginger one.
Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
So get your pen, write it down. I'll also type it up for Sora. It's for her to.
Yeah, and I'll paste it. I'll copy and paste it.
Yeah.
To the chat.
I will get them typed up when we're not recording, because you will hear my keyboard. But for pork, this is really, really great on pork. Really great stir fry. It's quick, easy ingredients. You're gonna get garlic powder, ginger powder, basil, black pepper, dried orange peel, dried lemon peel. These are all things you can purchase from the store. If you don't have dried lemon or dried orange and you have fresh ones, you can zest it. You want to do mostly garlic. I measure with my heart, so don't ask for amounts. Garlic is going to be your biggest base. And then you want to add, I'd say your garlic to ginger should be like a 2-to-3 ratio. So if you do 3-to-2 ratio. So if you do like 3 spoonfuls of garlic, do 2 spoonfuls of ginger.
I will say,
and then you're gonna want
you are not used
Ayla
to
Light,
ginger,
welcome to my channel.
Lower it.
I
Ayla
would
Light
recommend going
said,
less.
I am here, Trom, and I were doing stuff.
Yes,
Because
definitely.
ginger
And then
is a very powerful. I honestly think in some ways it is more powerful than garlic. It just doesn't make your breath stink like garlic does, in my opinion.
no, but ginger burps are not great. But
They're painful.
Ginger is spicy in a different way than like capsaicin. It's similar to like wasabi or horseradish in its spice. So if you don't like wasabi or horseradish, be careful. But anyways, you're gonna do your garlic, your ginger, and then you're gonna add basil, and you want to be able to see the basil flecks in it, to where like it's not the main herb. It's more of like a complementary note. And then your pepper will be to taste. I don't like a lot of pepper, so I usually am pretty light on my black pepper. And then your orange peel and your lemon peel. You want like half a teaspoon of orange peel, and then maybe a teaspoon of lemon peel. If you are doing a smaller amount of it.
Sorath FXY
Mix that all up, and
said,
you've got a dried
welcome in Isla.
seasoning that you can put on pork chops. You can probably honestly put it on anything, really. It's great on green beans, broccoli, stir fry. It's fantastic. And then the other ones, let's see. Carnitas, if you guys like to make carnitas, this is another pork one. Apparently we eat a lot of pork. It's cheap. You're going to start with garlic powder and onion powder as your base. And then you're going to want oregano. You're going to want cumin, which, be careful with your cumin. It is a bitter. So it's going to be a bit of a pungent flavor if you're not careful with it. Coriander, which is the dried seed of the cilantro plant. It does not taste like cilantro. If you have the soap cilantro gene, coriander is safe. Don't ask me how.
I
It just
taste
is.
so it has less of that chemical. So the chemical for that you taste when you eat cilantro, if you taste that soap taste, it is because a chemical that is commonly found in soap is also found in cilantro. It is found in smaller amounts in coriander, though. That's why a lot of people tend not to taste it as much with coriander.
Oh,
But if you
got it.
eat a lot of cilantro, if you start eating
Hi.
cilantro, like, eventually you're gonna taste that soapy taste a lot less. Because what it is, you taste that because your mind's trying to give you a warning sign. It's like, oh, this might be dangerous because it knows soap is dangerous.
That is so weird because I did a genetic test and it said I should have the gene for the soap. And I've
So
eaten cilantro my whole
all
life,
that
so I don't
gene
know.
shows really is the fact that historically your family did not eat cilantro a lot, and or in the past you just don't have. So as we eat more and more stuff, eventually we develop certain things in our biology which kind of acts as like a, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about this. So
Yeah, like Norse, you're less likely to be lactose intolerant if you have Norse heritage because they drink and ate a lot of dairy.
a good example is, that's another thing is with foraging is there's going to be a lot of things that maybe your ancestors did not eat that you're going to be put off by when you first start foraging taste wise. That doesn't mean it's dangerous. Now I would look into it to see, like, if you know your family history, you have someone in your family who knows y'all's history, look into it because it could be an actual warning sign. But a lot of the time it is just your family, your ancestors did not eat this a lot. You do not eat this a lot. So it's trying to warn you, oh yeah, this is something that there's not a lot of data on within your biology. And so
Exactly.
as you eat more of it, though, you're going to start tasting the actual flavors. As we talked before, juniper, a lot of people think it tastes like Lysol.
Yep. Yep. Or yeah, Lysol, Pine Sol. What is it? What's the other one? Pledge.
Yeah.
I get that one too. People say it tastes like Pledge. I'm like, first of all, I want to know why you're drinking Pledge.
And that's
I'm
another thing.
kidding.
I
I'm
hear a
kidding.
lot of people say mint tastes like those things because they don't eat mint a lot. I don't like
Or
mint
it tastes like
myself.
toothpaste. They go, it tastes like toothpaste. I'm like, well, that's because you're used to it being in toothpaste.
Yeah.
Um, another great. Sorry, I'm gonna just type up my recipes because it's gonna be hard to remember it all live. I have them written down somewhere, in the kitchen. But I was gonna say another great mix though. If you ever are like, I don't know what herbs to like play around with, I have a great song for you. It's called Scarborough Fair. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. If you can remember those four, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, just remember that, and you've got ingredients that will make a good mix. Parsley is, a lot of people think of parsley being like a garnish. It's actually really great as a flavoring agent. Get some dried parsley and grind it up. Get yourself a spice grinder. So
It's also a great
spices,
aromatic.
yeah, that's why it's a good herb to add. But if you get yourself a spice grinder or herb grinder, like electric one, spices and herbs stay freshest in their whole form. So when you're buying ground cloves versus whole cloves, your ground cloves. So, hang on, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. Herbs and spices don't expire the way that you might think they do. They don't spoil unless they're literally physically rotting, covered in kind of a mold or a mildew. If you see physical signs of like rot and decay, then they're bad. But like your pepper from 1947 that your grandmother has kept in the back of her pantry this whole time and forgot she had might actually still be good. It just might not give as much of a oomph as it did when it was fresh. And that's because it's been ground. It's been oxidized. So surface area, I'm about to get real sciencey, folks. I'm sorry. About to take you back to school. So oxidization is the exposure of surfaces to the air. It's a lot like how white coffee beans, people say, hey, it's better to buy whole bean. Not because they're being snobby, but because it genuinely is going to be a better experience if you grind your own beans. Oh, it's an extra process. Trust me, I get it. I have ADHD. I hate anything that takes extra steps. But this extra step is worth it. If you buy coriander whole and you take out like 2 coriander seeds and crush and grind those, your coriander you're going to actually use less than if you bought a pre-ground bottle of coriander. Same with cloves. If you take some cloves and you put them through a spice grinder, you're going to use less clove than you would if you used fresh. Or not fresh, if you used pre-ground. So, like, I couldn't find thyme that wasn't ground already. So I have ground thyme right now, but, like, I
will
am
say,
like,
if you have Food Cities usually carry it.
Food City, but I'm gonna put you on a little bit of a secret. You ready? You ready?
Yeah.
If you have EBT, especially, but if you just want a good deal on herbs, go to any Latin or Asian market.
Yes, we have an Asian market down my road. I love one of my favorite things I've really started loving to make because I've made it for a few friends when I'm visiting them is daikon steak. It is so good. I actually gave you the recipe. I'm pretty sure. No, I gave you something else. That was the my fried onion green recipe. But daikon steak, it's such an amazing. It's very simple. All you need is broth and daikon. That's all you need. It is so simple. You just soak your daikon, then sear it on both sides and serve.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really also another one that I really like this might be my Mexican side showing is I love jicama with like chili chili lime on it. Like, oh, it's so good. Like jicama with a little chili lime powder, some salt and lime. Like, oh my god, it is phenomenal. But if you're not familiar with jicama, it tastes really weird. The texture's really weird, but it's
That's
so
the
simple
corn
and it's
fungus,
so
right?
good. No, that's elote. No, that's
Okay.
elote. That's not elote. No, is something else. Sorry. That's Oh my god, my brain. Corn smut. What?
Yeah, corn
I
smut.
forgot what it's called in Spanish. But yeah, that is a different. No, jicama is a root. It's a bulbous tuber that is really high in water content. So I grew up in a desert, so my foraging knowledge is a little skewed towards deserts. Jicama is a really great source of water. So when you're in a desert, you can dig up tubers and roots are much more commonly foraged in a desert setting than they are in a forest setting. And that's because in a desert setting, if you're above the ground, you're going to lose all of your water. So plants store a bunch of water in thick roots called tubers. And if you dig those tubers up, you can actually get a really good source of water. However, not every tuber is safe to eat. The tuber you're used to eating is probably a potato. A potato is a very commonly.
Roots are delicious.
They are, but they're not common. A common tuber is, and also dandelion roots. I don't think are considered tubers.
They used to be used as carrots back in the day.
Okay, because carrots aren't tubers.
Yeah.
So a tuber is something different than like a thick root. So if you think of like daikons or carrots or like dandelions, like those aren't considered tubers. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, jicama, a lot of those are considered to be tubers. I think the whole plant needs to be able to die and it's like buried beneath the surface. I could be wrong. It's been a while
It
because
does
I know
not have to be that way. There's several things that aren't that way. For example, sweet potatoes you can technically harvest a lot of time early, but
no, I'm not talking about harvesting.
Yeah,
I'm talking about classifications.
Ah.
Yeah, what is considered a classification for a tuber anyways, that's neither here nor there. But jicama is a root, is my point. Anyways, so Culinary uses. We were discussing that. We both have ADHD, fam.
Yeah. And
Chat,
I'm
help us.
unmedicated ADHD at that.
Same right now. So I wanted to actually touch on a book that I have. I have 2 books with me
First
right now.
recommendation.
So I actually have several books I would recommend. I will type them. I will not throw them across my room. I will type them up and send them to Sora after we're done recording and everything, because it's a lot of them. But the book I have in my hand right now is called The Practical Herbal Medicine Handbook. It is written, I think it's actually a collective of folks who wrote it. But the foreword is actually by an RN. I always make sure I buy books that are written by people who are medical professionals. My other one that I have next to me right now is the National Geographic Guide to Medicinal Herbs. It is written by a group of 4 people plus a fifth for the forward. So we have three MDs involved in it. And I love National Geographic because they put a lot of effort into high quality photos, high quality information. So you're gonna get a good picture of what this plant looks like. You're gonna get a good history of it. Why do I keep opening to the ginkgo pages? Like both books, I have now opened to ginkgo. Like, is
The
this a
world is
sign?
telling you something. That's Loki right there.
Yeah, for real. So, ginkgo is a very old tree. It has been used. Well, let me read out of here real quick. In rock layers, some 270 million years old, scientists have unearthed fossils of ancient trees with delicately veined, fan-shaped leaves that are deeply notched to form 2 halves or lobes. Some of these fossils are essentially identical to the leaves of a living tree known as Ginkgo biloba. I hate scientific names. I don't speak Latin. But essentially it is it's mostly known in China. It has been widely distributed now across the world as an ornamental tree. You probably have seen them in your towns or cities. I used to live in Springfield, Tennessee, and Springfield's downtown street, their main street, is absolutely lined with ginkgo
Also,
trees.
as I just said, they can find ginkgo in downtown. I highly recommend, if you get into foraging, do downtown foraging starting off, because you'll find a lot.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you right there. Do not. In
Really? That's
cities.
how I started.
I don't recommend foraging in cities. And that is because of the toxins from street grime, from gas, from cars, from construction, from runoff. You don't want to forage in a city. Plants absorb their environment. So if you're picking dandelions in that abandoned lot that's between 2 buildings that is off of the main road, you might be getting pesticides, you might be getting herbicide, you might be getting road runoff, you might be getting construction runoff, chemical runoff from the nearby businesses. All of that is going to be absorbed into the ground, and then the dandelion is going to pull that into its plant structure.
Yeah.
So you're not getting something that is actually going to be as good for you. I recommend it for identification practice.
Yeah.
If you want to take some home and like press the leaves or preserve what you've foraged in a way to help for identification, yes. But especially mushrooms. Even if you find like, oh look, a chicken in the woods, it's growing on some pine. Okay, but has that pine been treated? Also, don't eat chicken in the woods off of pine. Sorry. If you see chicken in the woods growing on, I realized what I said. I was like, wait a minute, that's when you don't eat it. If you see it growing like on an oak tree, for example, well, that means that oak tree is probably dying. But also that oak tree has been sitting in that park for 60 years of air pollution, 60 years of chemical runoff, pesticides, so you need to be very, very, very careful when foraging in the city. There are a few exceptions, like new growth sometimes is okay, but again, I would research the plant, research how they pull up toxins, how they process toxins, because mushrooms are being used to actually clean up hazardous waste.
Oh yeah,
because
I've
they
heard that
pull it
apparently they
into their
started
flesh.
using broccoli even in Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you can't eat it. It has to be destroyed.
I'll be real, I'll eat it.
Uh, you know, that's a life choice that I don't
I
support.
might get
But
superpowers, chat. I might get superpowers.
chat, she's gonna die. Don't eat
Oh, hell,
radioactive.
broccoli girl.
Oh God, I'll make you eat your veggies. Your fists are just broccoli crowns. Jesus Christ. But
Give me
anyways,
that
what I was gonna say about
Chernobyl food.
what I was gonna say about ginkgo though is that ginkgo used to be only in China, but now ginkgo is used ornamentally. You'll see a lot of Asian Asian originate. A lot of plants that originated in Asia, specifically China, for some reason, has highly sought after. I can't blame them. China is beautiful, but for some reason, has been the main plant export. So we
I
have.
mean, look at the Bradford pear, which is now banned in most states, by the way. But its
I don't
fruit
like them.
is so tasty. I love the fruit of the Bradford pear tree.
Sure. I hate them.
Really?
No, I've never tried their fruit. I never want to try their fruit, and I don't care enough to try their fruit.
It's
They
sour.
are
It's great
invasive.
for making pear wine.
Yeah, they're too invasive. They do too much damage for me to care about their benefits, and that's my personal view though.
Oh no,
Is
I agree with you. They're highly invasive, and they've bred with other pear trees too. Which actually, some farmers have actually purposely bred their pear trees with Bradford pears for some of the benefits that the Bradford pear trees have in agriculture, such as the spikes.
The spikes are, yeah, they're in good natural defense, but the Bradford pear tree is. I'm not going to get into it too much because it's a whole debate. You could honestly make an entire episode on Bradford pears alone.
Yeah.
But the long and short of it is they're an invasive species. They were brought in because they look pretty, and they have been found to be dangerous in the fact that they are covered in spikes and have very weak heartwood, which means they often fall over or branches will fall off.
They shatter very easily.
And then the other side of it is they also are simultaneously really hard to cut down.
Yeah, our Bradford pear tree, we did not plant at all. It just grew out of an old maple tree stump.
They'll do that. But anyways, Bradford pears aside, though, the ginkgo biloba is a great example of like a highly medicinal plant that is very popular as a medicinal plant. You'll see a lot of, I think it was early 2000s, maybe late 90s, there was a huge rage about taking ginkgo supplements because it helps your brain function, and it's true. A lot of ginkgo does help with, like in here, it says it may improve thinking, learning, and memory in people with Alzheimer's disease. Herbal practitioners and naturopaths also suggest ginkgo for treating age-related macular degeneration, tinnitus, and intermittent claudication, which is cramping and pains caused by poor blood flow in the legs. So ginkgo is an all-around really well-beloved, well-researched, and well-understood plant that has medicinal properties. But it also is gorgeous. So if you've ever been walking down the street and you see a tree with dark wood, but these beautiful golden fan-shaped leaves that just seem to make the streets made out of gold, that is a ginkgo. Ginkgos are very easy to recognize, very easy to identify. Alongside, like they have if you're familiar with the tulip poplar leaf shape, it's like the tulip poplar if they didn't have that outside spike. They just had the two inner spikes. But yeah, look it up. Look up ginkgo. They're great. They have a fruit. They have leaves. They're a really great tree. But that is an example of like a tree that is used for both and is also really known for its medicinal properties. And I do recommend, if you have cognitive issues, to talk with your doctor. Obviously, always talk with your doctor about taking supplements, but to maybe add a supplement of ginkgo to your daily regimen. Another one is cinnamon. So we were talking about culinary. Cinnamon is one that I wanted to definitely hit. So cinnamon, for those who don't know, I'm about to blow your mind if you don't know where cinnamon comes from. You're eating tree bark.
Now, mind you, most cinnamon you find in stores is not actual cinnamon. It's
Yeah, it's
from
not
a
true
sister
cinnamon.
plant.
I was about to get on that one, yeah. So cinnamon, true cinnamon. The scientific name is Cinnamomum verum, or true cinnamon. Cinnamomum verum is going to be ones that, if you ever look in the stores for cinnamon sticks, and you see ones that are like thick, hard, woody rolls of like bark almost, that is not real cinnamon. That is a different type of cinnamon, Cinnamomum cassia cinnamon. And that is a sister to, like she said, it is a sister to cinnamon. It has a very similar flavor, but it is higher in the oils in cinnamon that actually can cause liver damage. They can cause other health issues if used too often. But it's also cheaper to produce, easier to harvest, and is found in things like big red gum, hot tamales, any sort of cinnamon flavored candies or cinnamon flavored drinks. Ground cinnamon that is like just hand wave ground cinnamon, that is usually going to be I think it's Sri Lanka cinnamon. That is not a true cinnamon. But a true cinnamon is going to be flaky, like papery. It's going to have like a cigar. If you've ever cut a cigar and you see all those like papery layers, that is the correct cinnamon. It's going to be flakier, more delicate. It has a sweeter flavor to it, not like sugary sweet, but like if you taste test them side by side, it's gonna have a spice to it no matter what. But it's gonna be a sweet spice. It's gonna be less of a pungent, like smack to the face spice. If you can get your hands on that kind of cinnamon, that is really great to add to beef. You heard it here, beef. Adding cinnamon to meats or your spaghetti sauce or not chicken. My secret ingredient for chicken is nutmeg. Very, very small amount of nutmeg, but trust me, try it. You'll thank me later.
My secret ingredient is coffee beans. Especially with
Coffee.
steak.
Yeah, coffee is a great one. I haven't worked with coffee yet in culinary. Because I drink it all. I don't have anything left.
You can also, so if you don't know, dandelion is commonly a very common coffee substitute, and it also pairs really well with steak, especially the flower heads, because when cooked, they taste like summer squash.
Huh. Okay.
So you take it with the green part and you just cook it. With a little bit of oil or butter sauce too, whatever you want to use.
Nice. I haven't ventured into dandelions yet, partly because again, I live in a city right now, so all of my dandelions are tainted. But I do have some dried dandelion root that I've been wanting to use to try as like a coffee substitute. But I love coffee so much, I'm scared.
You can also hennebit and purple dead nettle, also very common coffee substitutes, which are both very common yard herbs.
Yeah, dead nettle. Although dead nettle, its benefits are very minor compared to its more commonly known cousin, stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is the beneficial nettle out of the two. Henbit, I can't remember if it's been a minute since I've looked up henbit because I don't really.
It's not as common because a lot of people don't know it has medicinal effects, which is sad because I love henbit. It's actually in a mint family.
Yes, because of the square stem. So if you look at the stem of a plant, you can learn a lot about where it comes from. If a plant stem is a square, 90% chance from the mint family.
I think, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure purple dead nettle also has a square stem.
Catnip is another one. Nettle. Why are you not... Sorry, I've been trying to look up in the index to see, and it doesn't have henbit or even nettle in these books for some reason.
Which purple dead nettle is also a mint family plant. And the
Yep,
funny thing is, a lot of people get henbit and purple dead nettle confused because they're lookalikes.
they do look very similar, but they are safe lookalikes, thankfully.
Yeah, thank God. They're funny enough. I don't think there's a lot of dangerous lookalikes for mint.
Oh, because there's an herb index. I'm dumb. I don't use the index very often. Can you tell?
Yeah.
But yeah, mint's a pretty safe family though, like generally speaking. Because like it's very easy to they've got serrated leaves. The leaves tend to grow in pairs. They grow on a squared stem. They tend to have a soft papery feel to them. Like mint as a whole just is very good at self-identifying. It knows who she is, and it's not going to let anyone tell you differently.
And it is a very easy one to identify because there's not really any lookalikes for mint. There might be some in your area, as we said earlier. Make sure you look at what you have in your. But mint is probably the safest, in my opinion, to harvest and forage.
Yeah. That and mullein. Mullein is another one that's pretty easy to forage. Also, just a real quick side note. If you are going to collect not dead nettle, the other one, stinging nettle. Long sleeves, double layered, thick gloves, double layered bag that you gather in, eye coverings, mouth coverings. The reason why is dead nettle, not dead. Why do I keep saying dead nettle? Stinging nettle is covered in us. The 420 folks are about to recognize some of these words I'm going to use. Covered in tiny little trichomes. And unlike some plants that produce trichomes, these are trichomes we don't want. They're stinging trichomes. So what you have to do is with the stinging nettle, you have to process it a very specific way. There is a way that you have to like dry it, cook it, and yada yada yada.
The most common way, and I think the safest way, is just fire. Burn off those fucking trichomes. Burn them all off.
Yeah, fire's pretty good, but there are a couple of other like processes to like that involve straining. If you use stinging nettle to make a tea for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, it's actually a really good tea to make, don't get me wrong. If you are going to use it for tea, make sure you run it through a strainer. Make sure you run it through some cheesecloth and a strainer just to make sure you catch all those little needles, because you don't want those in the back of your throat. It's not gonna be fun.
I've heard stories where the pain will last like years in some cases.
Because it's not, even if you remove the trichomes, the substance that causes like that stinging feeling, the chemical stays in your skin, and so you will end up with like it's like imagine if like poison ivy or poison oak. Imagine if you wash that off, right? And 4 months down the line, it just comes back out of nowhere. That's stinging nettle sometimes. But stinging nettle can also be used like that for there's certain like bites or rashes, I think, that you hit yourself with stinging nettle, it can help. Don't quote me on that entirely. I haven't come across stinging nettle yet, despite the fact that it is a very commonly grown plant.
Yeah, I have yet to come across.
I can't find it. I cannot find it anywhere.
I've had friends that say they've seen it, but I go back to the places they take me. Well, they take me to these places, and it's not there anymore.
Right. Which is just hilarious. Which, speaking of foraging and plants being out in the wild that you may not think, oh, that's a medicinal. Flowers. There are some flowers out there that actually can mark that they are medicinal. Now, I'm gonna put the little caveat here. If you are allergic to daisies or the daisy family, please do your research on identifying some of these flowers, because a lot of them are in the daisy family, hayweed family, mayweeds, all like that sort of dealio. So these are going to be in families that if you are allergic to them, they have zero medicinal properties. They will kill you
Yeah.
if you have anaphylactic.
Speaking of flowers, one of my favorite things to forage is wild onion slash garlic.
Oh
But
God, yes.
But because I love foraging it, I'm going to give y'all a tip. Always smell it. Lily is
Yes.
a very common lookalike, almost undistinguishable outside of flowering season.
Yes.
Lily does not have that sulfury, oniony smell.
No, this
Garlic
is true.
onion will.
Something I learned working at Renaissance Festival out in Tennessee was I was on the ferry cast for a year, and something that we did learn was what we could snack on, foraging wise. Because like I'm not as familiar with Tennessee's forage. Well, I am now, but at the time I wasn't as familiar with it. Because again, I come from a desert. Our foraging is very different. You know, I'm looking at sagebrush. I'm looking at the California honeysuckle, not the Japanese honeysuckle. That one's invasive.
And you should burn it.
Yes.
If you are not confident you can controllably burn it, or if it's in a state park or something like that, do not burn it. But if it's on your own property or you have a friend that has it and they have it,
Get rid of it.
Try
Well,
and do your
also,
best to get rid of it.
like like you can burn it, and then people are like, "Well, can I take it up and put it in a pot?" No, because the way it pollinates, it will pollinate and it will spread its seeds. It will get everywhere. You cannot control it unless it is in a greenhouse, and even then, it's kind of risky. Plants that don't spread like that would be like mugwort is something that goes through rhizomes, so it doesn't flower and spread seeds. It puts out runners and puts out new plants. So
Which
do some
honeysuckle
research.
can also do in some
Yes.
instances.
That's the problem, is honeysuckle can reproduce every possible way a plant can reproduce.
Which is scary.
It is very scary. But honeysuckle aside, I want to touch on three of my favorite flowers for medicinal medicinal properties. I'm going to start with arnica. And the reason I want to start with arnica is, one, it's the first one in my book, but two, arnica is the best sunburn treatment. Yes, the best. I say that over aloe vera because aloe vera does not treat the burn. So this is also a really good example of how our knowledge of plants and their treatments have been lost. So aloe vera, while it's very soothing, it's very much like it's cooling and it feels good and it has vitamin E, it's got great properties for our skin, but it's not actually good for healing a burn. It's good for soothing a burn. And it became so popular and easy to grow that people just went, "Oh yeah, aloe vera. That's what you go to." But before you reach for your aloe vera, next time you get a sunburn, consider this. Put some apple cider vinegar on it first. That will remove the sting. It will also help it not peel as badly. It might still peel a little bit if it's really bad, but it will help it not peel and most likely tan. Now, then you're going to want to reach for your arnica. Arnica is ARNICA. You will be able to find arnica gel readily available in a lot of pharmacies. You can find it online, and it is produced by people who know what they're doing. So you don't have to worry about foraging this necessarily, but it does have a lot of medicinal properties that are currently being used in modern medicine. It's also known as mountain tobacco or wolf's bane. It's also known as Arnica montana, and its family name is Astera. I can never pronounce the CEAE, but it's part of the aster family. It is native technically to Europe, but it is, it doesn't, where it's native doesn't always mean it can't be found near you, or you can also grow it. But its buds, flowers, and leaves are what's important. You can use it in creams, salves, oils, poultices. Don't eat it. It's not internal. So this is one of those wolfsbane situations. Sorry, hang on, my volume got all messy. This was one of those situations where, like I said, like foxglove, wolfsbane can actually cause heart issues if you are not, if you are a healthy person. So please be careful. Do not eat arnica. Arnica is the outside only. There is wolf's bane, as in WOLF', which is arnica, and then there's wolfsbane as one word, which is a completely different plant, which is toxic. So common names are not a great way to distinguish your plants. Sorry, because common names are going to vary based on colloquialisms. So if, for example, like honeysuckle, there are bunch of different types of honeysuckles. So how do I know what honeysuckle you're talking about? We go into the scientific name. So wolfsbane being a common name, or like mushrooms. This is the biggest issue with mushrooms: is chicken of the woods, hen of the woods. You might think those are the same mushroom. They're not. Those are two different mushrooms, but it's easier to distinguish that through scientific names. So that aside, though, arnica is also really good for if you live in a colder climate and you want to be able to grow this at home. It does do well with colder climates. You definitely want to grow, or you can grow it, but it's much easier just to buy already processed products. But it is a yellow flower with thin, long petals with a yellow fuzzy center. It is analgesic, which means it is going to help reduce pain. So applying it to any painful things, like if you have a burn or a bruise, it's also really good at reducing bruising. So if you bruise easily, like my brother did, he would bruise so easily that like gymnastics, just the coaches like holding them in place would cause bruises. Arnica gel is really good at that. One of my other favorite ones, and another commonly used one, is calendula. You probably have heard of calendula. Calendula officinalis is the official name. It has branching stems. It is erect, so it stands up straight. It grows to about 20 inches tall, and its flowers range from pale gold to a bright orange, and the petals grow in several layers around a central dark eye. The buds and the flowers are the part you want to use, so leave the stem and the leaves and the roots alone. They're good for you can use calendula as a tea, but it's also really good for external uses. So if you are allergic to daisies, again, this is the aster family, please be careful. Calendula can cause a sensitivity, or you can cause a reaction. If you see that you're getting an irritated skin where you've used it, wash it off and discontinue the use. If you find that you're getting rashes or reactions from the tea, discontinue the use. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, do not use calendula. It has a slight sedative effect. So if you already take sedatives, or you already have, like for me, I can't take anything that has sedative effects, because I will go night night. I have a low blood pressure already, so anything that lowers that even more is dangerous for me. So I have to be careful of sedative like plants. However, it is really great for antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it's also got some regenerative properties. But externally, it's good for chapped skin, eczema, minor wounds, rashes, spider veins, varicose veins. So you can make tinctures. You can also grow this. It's very, very easy to grow. It likes sun and warmth. So maybe just keep it in a warm, sunny place in your house. But it is a great flower to add to your herb garden, especially because who doesn't like some pretty flowers, you know? And my third favorite flower that I will touch on is one that is also fairly commonly found and fairly commonly known: chamomile, or chamomile, if you prefer. Also known as mayweed, Matricaria recutita. I hate Latin. Again, aster family. Daisies are super helpful, which is good and bad. But chamomile can be used internally and externally. Chamomile has erect stems, feathery leaves, and small white daisy-like flowers with bright yellow centers. And it can grow up to 3 feet. And when it says small, they are small. They are about the size of a $half at biggest, and their yellow center, sits very much higher than the white petals. The white petals tend to have like a downward angle, like an open umbrella. If you've ever seen a black-eyed Susan, the way the centers on black-eyed Susans pop up is a little similar with chamomile. Chamomile is really great for internal uses if you have anxiety. It's not a sedative in the way that calendula can be. It is relaxing. So if you are like really anxious and you're really like your muscles are super like tense and you're just like your heart's racing and your mind is racing, I highly recommend make yourself a cup of peppermint chamomile tea with honey, not sugar, because sugar can raise our anxiety. It can raise our, like our excitedness. So a little bit of honey for a sweetener, and chamomile and peppermint has a natural floral sweetness that is just, it's so beautiful. I love the smell and flavor of chamomile. But again, if you're allergic to ragweed, please be careful. If ragweed and daisies,
I will say for the chamomile tea thing, I like to mix hibiscus because it also has soothing effects.
Yes, but that is a very strong flavor. So if you aren't used to hibiscus, please make sure you've tasted the flavor first. Because if hibiscus is made wrong, it's really bitter. It's really, really bitter.
I've never had it bitter. It's already been very floral though for me. Very.
Do you get the dried hibiscus or do you get the pre-made?
Dried.
Okay. Yeah, I've made it dried as well. It's got like a tannin to it. Like it's there's like if you ever had people describe a wine as being dry or wet, or dry or juicy, hibiscus is on the dry side.
Yeah. I will say I do feel like when I do drink hibiscus, the tea's more dry, but I also notice more floral undertones.
Mm-hmm. It's very floral.
I actually prefer hibiscus over mint.
Yes, and that's
I don't like mint.
Yes, and that is I will say again with hibiscus, if you want to try hibiscus properly, I highly, highly recommend getting. It's called Jamaica. Yes, it's spelled like Jamaica, but it's Jamaica, not jicama. Jamaica. Jamaica. Jamica.
Mix with hibiscus is passion flower, which you can forage here in Tennessee because we have.
It's literally the state flower. Fruit. The passion flower is literally the state flower for Tennessee.
It is so delicious
and beautiful.
And you can use the fruit to mix with the tea to have a fruit tea, and it is so amazing.
Aren't you fruity? Oh wait.
Yes. You are too.
That's fair. That's fair. I actually have a really funny story about that. I'll tell you when we're not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after. But yes, passion flower is another great one. My only warning with passion flower and chamomile would be the sedative effects. If you are sensitive to sedatives like I am, do not do passion flower and chamomile together. You can risk bottoming out.
But I promise it will be such a good. If you need something for sleep, it works wonders.
Yes, this is true. But the reason why I said be careful though is because it's not just it'll put you to sleep. It could put you to sleep forever if you're not careful. If you already suffer from low blood pressure where you're passing out, or you're like struggling to focus, like I can be anxious and still have fatigue. It sucks. It's the worst feeling in the world because you want to sleep but you're too anxious to do so. Passion flower has different relaxing qualities than chamomile. So when things relax you, there's different ways you can be relaxed. It can be in your brain, it could be in your blood pressure, it could be in your heart rate, it could be in your muscles. It's a lot of different ways. So passion flower, let me actually look up passion flower. Because it's been a minute
know.
since...
I started taking it because it helped with my anxiety.
Yes, that's why I'm like, chamomile and passion flower are great for anxiety, but combined could almost be like taking a double dose.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. Passion
I
flower.
don't do big batches of tea because I have a Chinese type tea set.
Nice.
And it comes with a little tea thing where it, at most, it holds 8 ounces, and even then, sometimes it'll overfill. Because of the little strainer it has that you put your herbs into.
Oh, that's so cute. Sorry, I just realized, I forgot that this book, the Practical Herbal Medicine Handbook, I forgot has recipes in the back. Because I don't use them. But there is a peaceful passion flower infusion, which does actually use passion flower and chamomile, but it also uses St. John's wort. So this is another... St. John's wort is one that I wanted to make sure we touched on with the... Be careful what you eat if you are on medications. St. John's wort is a natural antidepressant. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, ooh, it makes you feel a little bit happy. No, it is like actually proven to help with depression, except if you are already taking an antidepressant, it can make you have thoughts of removing yourself from the census. So it can actually do the opposite. So if you're already on antidepressants, do not, for any reason, ingest St. John's wort.
And
also,
as we talked about before,
grapefruit.
Just because you forage, do not use foraging as like an official medical source. But it is good if you cannot afford the medication. It's a good way to kind of help you a little bit. Just do not rely on it. Because a lot of modern medicine are made more safely. They're made for specific purposes. And while all of them are derived from like foraging of the past and traditional medicine, they are fundamentally different.
Yes. And while a lot of like things like St. John's wort or whatnot could definitely have I think St. John's wort has been used in helping figure out antidepressants. I haven't researched it as much as I wish I had, but it's like, hey, I'm in between my medicine right now, so like if I needed to and my depression got really bad, I probably would make myself a cup of St. John's wort. It actually tastes really good. It's a great herb to have, but again, it does put you at risk. And in addition to that, the whole like medicine interactions, if you are on antidepressants, this is your PSA. Do not drink or ingest grapefruit in any way. You run yourself... it's something about grapefruit. It's not that it's an antidepressant. It's something about like it causes your body to hold certain chemicals in areas that it shouldn't, and it causes a toxic buildup that could kill you. So please be careful.
Another thing is, as a good example, is opium. It was derived from poppies.
Poppy seeds.
Which, by the way, just because you eat poppy seeds does not mean it will automatically show up in a drug test. It is poppy seeds that you find for commercial and food use tend to not have a lot of that. That's most drug tests on like company scales and stuff tend to take that into account.
Yes, they've also, fun fact, have actually raised the amount allowed for opium, because they found out that if you're taking opium or opiates, the number would actually be much, much higher as a base number. So if you have, I think Mythbusters did it, they had like, how many poppy seed muffins do I have to eat before it pops positive on a test? And it was like something like 2 poppy seed muffins that were like heavily poppy seed muffins. So like, now, you gotta be like knocking back a lot.
Yeah, this does not mean you cannot trip balls on poppy seeds though, because there is a case where they had found out a wallaby was getting into the poppy fields in, I think it's Tasmania or something like that. And for the longest time, they did not know. They only found out because the wallaby was passed out in the fucking field one morning. Mind you, for the longest time, the government actually thought they were aliens because it looked like crop circles. I am no joking, they had full-on investigations. These are heavily guarded facilities, and a wallaby was getting it, eating it, and tripping balls, making fucking crop circles, and then leaving before they could figure it out. Up until, I think last year.
That is freaking wild. I love hearing stories about that because like it's just so like obvious how much like we are just part of the natural world, because there is a water basin in Africa that the way the land is shaped is it's so far down that it actually is where like a lot of water will pool, but also a lot of fruit ends up. But because of the conditions of that area, instead of the fruit properly rotting, it actually ferments. So they have found animals, I mean, like lions and elephants, like an antelope, like animals that normally would try to be killing each other or eating one another, absolutely shit-faced drunk off of this naturally fermented fruit.
That's another thing I want to get into is you can go and forage and you can find fruit that will get you tipsy, by the way. So if you forage fruit, especially during sunny weather and stuff, be careful. Do not like before you eat it.
If it's fizzy, don't. If you take a bite and it's fizzy, don't keep eating it.
Which also, a lot of time, they're not always safe fungus either. So if you see them fizzing like that, be safe. But if you do eat it, can you send me some of that fruit too?
Oh my god. Well, speaking of alcohol, though, if we are good to talk about alcohol, then that is also a whole nother topic of like foraging and medicinal uses is alcohol. Creating a fermented version. You can do dandelion wine.
Oh yeah, that's one I've actually
passion
made,
flower
and
wine.
it is delicious.
You can make. Well, remember we were talking about getting excited about it being spring, and it's like we're watching our pine trees for the pine buds, so we can make pine soda. I want to grab new pine growth for pine flower, because I want to make the pine cookies that Alexis Nicole was talking about. I just saw a video about it. I was super excited about it. I want to make their color changing, which that's the other fun thing about it is like there is some really cool foraging stuff out there that does really cool magical like science stuff. Now,
and like as we talked about earlier, juniper berries, they have natural yeast on them. And
yes, that white powder is yeast. You don't wash them. Literally, if you've ever seen something with that white substance that juniper berries has, it's naturally occurring yeast. Don't wash it off if you want to ferment.
And if you like beer, it is an awesome way to, as a substitute for like hops, which is like a bitter. Juniper berries is a great substitute and can help ferment. It makes for an amazing tasting beer type thing.
Or gin. How do you think gin's made?
Exactly. Gin is that's derived from
it's juniper
too, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, gin is a juniper liquor technically because it's distilled, but you can use juniper berries. So another book I'm going to recommend is called the Hearth Witches Compendium. And I don't obviously I don't know your full demographic. So I'm sure there are some folks out there that are very witchy. For any of you who kind of might be like, a witchy book for foraging, really? Hear me out. It's less about the foraging part of it, and it's more of how to put those ingredients to use. So the Hearth Witches Compendium, I'll get the all the info to Sora. I have a caveat to it. It is really great for recipes. There's some beer recipes in there, wine recipes, there's some salves, there's teas, there's all sorts of bread recipes, stuff like that. My caveat is if you're gonna go into doing like herbs and foraging and you're going to lean into the spiritual and magic side of it, be careful with what books you choose out there, because there are books out there that are written by practitioners who do not have the medicinal scientific knowledge. They just go off of Wicca.
There's also for example, pokeberries, they have medicinal effects, but if you chew them, they are toxic as fuck.
Yeah, pokeberry
And a
is
lot of people have never thought about that and will eat the berries without knowing the fact if they chew, it can be deadly.
right. Pokeberry is one of those that it's like, is it safe or is it poisonous? Yes. If you get to pokeweed in the spring, like right now, if you can identify it, you want to get it before any of the stem turns red, and you can actually boil that much like you would collard greens. Um, do not eat poke raw; you will die.
The berries you can eat raw. Do not chew. Only
Do
have
not chew
one
them.
a day because they can help with your immune system and stuff. But
And arthritis.
I do not recommend that because it is technically poisonous. A lot of people tend to have a chewing fixation, or they will chew it
Yeah.
accidentally.
What's recommended for pokeberry is if you want to have pokeberry as like something medicinal, it is so poke is considered a intermediate foraging. I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend beginners forage for pokeberry. If you have a lot of pokeberry in your area and you're like, oh, if you see pokeberry over the summer pop up somewhere in your yard, get something to mark that spot, because I can guarantee you it's gonna come back next year. But if you
And
poke that,
pokeberry is delicious though, and if you do want to try it, for the leaves, I recommend cooking between 10 to 15 minutes for the best results.
yes. But what I was
Boiling
saying is
them.
mark the spot where it's growing, if because a lot of people don't recognize pokeweed until it's too late, and they go, oh, that is pokeweed, I waited too long. So mark the spot with something like a garden stake, whatever, and wait till the next spring, because next spring when it grows, now you know for certain that is a pokeweed, and now you can recognize it in its spring form and harvest it and use it next year. Don't try to do it this year if you are uncertain or you're not confident. A couple other ones, there are the intermediate. So foraging is kind of complicated because the rules change based on how advanced you are. So when you're a beginner, a lot of things are going to be like, don't do this, don't do that, don't ever eat this plant, don't forage that one. But then when you get into intermediate, it's like, okay, you technically can forage that one, but you gotta, be careful. So you need to know the rules before you start breaking them. Like, not belladonna, nightshade, for example. Nightshade is not inherently poisonous. Nightshade is just a family of plants, and I'm going to tell you right now, I can guarantee every single one of you has eaten nightshade.
Tomatoes, but I think some species of
Potatoes
potatoes
and tomatoes.
Uh,
Yeah, so not
tobacco.
sweet potatoes. Tobacco, tomato, russet potatoes, golden potatoes, white potatoes, anything that's not like a yam or a sweet potato, those are all nightshades. And you're not dead. I don't
Now, I
think
will
anyone
say
going to Burger King.
this doesn't mean that not all of them are toxic. For example, tomatoes in high amounts, especially like the plant, can be toxic. It will take a lot to kill you. More than
Yeah,
you should ever ingest tomato leaves, by the way, because they do not taste good. They have really no nutritional value either.
right. And also, like, I do want to put that on that point though, is that technically everything is going to be bad if you get there is always a certain, it's not, sometimes it's not the plant, it's the dose. And so sometimes it's like pokeweed, for example, we were talking about the berries. What you want to do for the berries is you want to harvest them at when they're at their ripest and let them dry, dehydrate them,
A lot of
because when you
people freeze
dehydrate
them.
them, you can freeze them. A lot of the groups that I was in for that were pokeweed specific foraging groups, they recommended drying them and putting them in a like uh, a hinge. Oh shoot, a swing top jar that has like the air seal where you can lock them.
Yeah.
And if you need it for medicinal properties, you take them like a pill. So when they are dried, you're less likely to want to chew them, and it reduces a lot of the toxins when they're dried versus frozen, which is why dried is recommended quite often over
I've
frozen.
never heard
Uh,
of them drying. I've only ever seen people freeze them. That's why I was like,
it's because most people don't have a dehydrator, and it takes
yeah.
longer. It's a lot easier to rinse them off, shake them off, and pop them into a freezer than it is to rinse them off, shake them off, and pop them into another oven for 6 hours.
No, I will say,
Like,
if you want to dry something and you don't want to, like, and you're not comfortable using your oven for something like that, hang your flowers, like your fruit, or like, for example, peppers, upside down.
yes. You will find so many bunches of plants in my house that are like that I've grown that I just hang upside down because
For
I
like
don't have a
chili
dehydrator.
peppers, if you grow chilies, they are amazing. Also, they will prevent bugs from going to your area. If you grow them in like your backyard or something, they are amazing deterrent, especially chili peppers. But if you want to save them for like, oh, you want to save some to put as a seasoning or to grind up for chili powder or something like that, take a sewing needle or like a thin needle and like some twine, some like food safe twine, and just
Yeah.
skewer them all. That
Cotton threads are also fine if they're 100% cotton.
yeah.
Or yeah, cotton. Yeah, thick cotton threads are also fine. But yeah, kitchen twine is a great one. You can also you don't have to if you don't have a needle or you're like I'm not comfortable with needles. There are ways that you can just loop and tie around the stems. Leave enough of a
Yeah.
stem that you can loop and tie. I have a bunch of catnip that I've tried that my cats didn't appreciate. Homegrown organic catnip, and they're like, we like the store bought. I'm like, wow, rude.
They like
But
their additives.
no, it's organic catnip that we buy. Like there's no additives.
Sure, it's store bought.
It's just straight catnip, but it's a different species. So catnip also, by the way, fun fact for those who might not know, as I mentioned earlier, is in the mint family and is a 100% safe for humans to eat. It's recommended to make it into a tea. You're not going to trip balls. Sorry, you're not a cat. Also, cats. Fun fact, the reaction that cats have, it's not because it's hallucinogenic in the way that like we might be thinking. It actually triggers the similar hormones and chemicals in them that sex does. So they're getting the brain happy of
So you're telling me we're
an
just making them horny?
It's not horny. It's not horny necessarily. It's the reward chemical, the release. So it's the after effects.
Oxytocin or dopamine?
And it's a little bit of both. I'm not sure which one it is 100% with cats because it's more than oxytocin. It's like it's a very complicated reaction, but it happens for cats only. Another one is spider plants. If you have a spider plant in your home, that one is an actual hallucinogenic, which is closer the effects of spider plants on cats is closer to the effects of LSD on humans. Because fun fact, LSD and acid actually is derived from plants, so it's technically a natural drug. But drug uses of plants.
Don't ask, but you technically can make LSD from mints.
Yep, we're not going to talk about that though, because that's illegal.
Yeah, don't do it.
We're just saying scientifically it is possible, but we're not encouraging anyone to do it.
I mean, you can make wine from toilet paper too. Should you? No. If you do,
you can do what now?
Yeah, you can make wine from toilet paper. There's that one video Mark Rober did. I think it's Mark Rober. But he made toilet paper.
That's disgusting.
Wine. I think he also made grape flavoring from like plastic.
That's disgusting. Yeah, there are a lot of fake flavors out there that you can make, and it's like, okay, so also you have to remember scents and flavors, like to get a little like non-mystical right now, all come from chemical compounds. So to give you an example, how familiar are you with the jasmine plant, the jasmine flower? Great smell, beautiful flower. People think, oh, I love the smell of jasmines in the moonlight, or jasmines are such a beautiful. You know what happens if you put jasmines in concentration? It smells like literal shit because it's the same compound. The scent that you are smelling for jasmines is the exact same chemical compound that you smell with poop. It's just in different concentrations. So, for example, vanilla comes from a beaver gland.
Originally, we have
fake vanilla
artificial versions, but originally vanilla did come from that. Mind you, not all the time, because there was vanilla beans. Just back then,
Oh
they
yeah,
found,
no,
oh,
natural vanilla, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of, in the past, artificial vanilla flavorings and scents were made from beaver butt.
Yeah. Also, vanilla, fun fact, is an orchid.
Yeah.
If you guys did not know that, and you can actually grow your own, but it's going to take a very long time. You got to be very patient. It's not worth it.
I
Um,
will say,
but
if you start now and you're younger, like in your early teens or late teens, I would
you're not
recommend it.
37.
Yeah, but I would recommend it because later down the line, you can create vanilla starter jars, which you just kind of leave the beans in there, it will slowly do, and you pour it into a thing to use, and it's a great way to kind of save money later down the line. So if you
Yeah.
like vanilla, you cook a lot, you bake a lot, I would recommend it. If you are younger, start a vanilla jar. Well, not
Or
start it, but start growing some vanilla to use for a vanilla jar later in your life.
I will put a caveat though on that is that orchids are very difficult to grow. So if you are not experienced with growing plants at all, don't do it. You're gonna get very discouraged. If you are like, hey, I've kept orchids alive and I understand how to take care of plants and adjust to their needs because not every plant needs to be taken care of the same way. For example, I have a plant that can go with it, I have a plant that if I don't water it for 3 years, it'll be fine. It's fine. I can water it 3 years from now, and it will be just as alive as it is today. I have other plants that if I forget to water them for 3 days, they're like, "I'm gonna die."
But
So
also, if you do grow plants, just a tip, as someone, I studied agriculture, greenhouse, stuff like that in high school. That was something I really wanted to go into. Unfortunately, the school I went to, they got rid of that program before I got there, and I was not told till I got there.
rude.
Um, yeah, it was a whole thing. Anyway, but they're do not, if you like carnivorous plants and you like house plants, do not keep them together because carnivorous
Mm-mm.
plants, they release certain enzymes that will change the humidity and everything like that of the room. If you
Not
want,
just that.
yeah,
They also need different watering needs too.
yeah, but keeping them in the same room, especially an enclosed room, do not do. Keep, if you
Yeah.
can, if you have a house, keep them in two separate rooms. Make sure that you don't. Make sure you have them locked or sealed off from the rest of the house so it doesn't. If you don't like humidity, carnivorous plants are not for you
Yeah,
because
I
they
was gonna
will make your
say
house or place more humid.
to an extent, to a certain
Yeah,
extent. If you only have like one Venus flytrap, it's not going to do that. That would be that it's not going to make your whole room like a sauna all of a sudden.
yeah,
But fun fact, a lot of carnivorous plants that we think of being like, oh yeah, I love these things, they eat bugs. A lot of folks think, oh, they must come from the deep jungles of like the Amazon or Africa or something. No, a lot of them are actually native to North Carolina.
yeah. It's
um,
funny.
it's so funny because people think
Which
there's
kind of
these
makes me think:
exotic.
are the ones in rainforest possibly invasive?
Yes. No. Sorry. No. I thought you were gonna say possibly related. No. There are a lot of species of pitcher plants that are very widespread. The Venus flytrap specifically is a North Carolina plant. It is not native,
Really?
to my knowledge. To my knowledge, I could be wrong. So please correct me if I'm wrong. But it, to my knowledge, is a North Carolina specific plant. But what I was going to touch on though is with carnivorous plants, Sora makes a very, very good point. They do, you don't put them in with regular plants. They do cause certain enzymes. Sunflowers are similar. Sunflowers put out a poison that kills competition, and
Really?
tomatoes are immune to this. So if you want to grow sunflowers, be careful where you plant them because one, they grow tall and will cause shade, but two, not a lot of plants can actually survive around sunflowers because they release a toxin into the soil that kills out competition so that they can grow better. So yeah, you want to be very careful for some of that. But anyways, what I was going to say though is for carnivorous plants, which isn't really, this isn't really here or there on like the medicinal or herbal because they don't have any medicinal or herbal benefits. But It's going to highly depend on which carnivorous plant that you actually are wanting to grow. I have tried several times to grow Venus flytraps and failed miserably.
For the first
But
bit, you have to feed them manually until they get big enough.
it's not even just that. It is a lot. It is they have to have a freeze off period. They are bog plants. They need low nutrition. You have to water them with distilled water, not filtered, distilled. They or filtered rainwater. They have to be like almost always wet. Like you want to make sure that whatever carnivorous plant you're looking into, do a lot of research and then do more, because each one has very specific needs, but almost all of them require distilled water because they gain a lot of their nutrients through the insects that they eat. So if you are looking for ones that you're like, oh no, I don't want to I don't like the humid thing, there are some carnivorous plants for you that don't do that. They are called pinguiculas. They are also known as butterworts. A lot of them. I have a lot of Mexican ones because I somehow have ended up with a lot of Mexican native plants. I don't know, maybe it's my ancestry calling me. But they're native to various areas in the world. They grow on like rocks, moss, very like not very like not soil, like so sandy, rough, gritty stuff. They will put out these little hair thread like roots. They're so cute. They're these little like little white threads that they just kind of like and they just kind of touch the soil and they go, yes, water. And they use them as little straws. It's the cutest thing. But they have two different forms. They have a succulent form and a carnivorous form. So because these are unique versus like your pitcher plants or your Venus flytraps or your sundews, is because they have a succulent form, they technically can be classified as a carnivorous succulent. So in the winter, they'll put out smaller leaves that don't have any sort of sticky substance and they kind of go to sleep. They go night night for a few months. And then when spring comes back, they start to put out these thicker, juicier leaves that have sticky surfaces. They're bigger, they're wider, and they mostly catch fungus gnats or soil gnats. So those little tiny black nuisances. If you anybody who keeps indoor plants, I think, has had to deal with fungus gnats or soil gnats at some point. But if you are dealing with a bunch of small flies, a bunch of small gnats, not big house flies, pinguiculas are the best fly catcher you can have. I have 3 adults right now, and I have 2. Well, I have one baby I've propagated. The other baby, I don't know what's going on with that one. It's trying to grow, but it's also trying to grow like 12 in one spot. So it hasn't gotten bigger. And then I have another couple of pullings that are growing some babies. But I have 3 adults right now. And oh my God. Now that spring is here, one of them, my Agnata cross, is covered in the carcasses of gnats. Like, it's amazing. I have been trying to battle these things forever. Mosquito bits only work so far. But those are actually really easy to keep out and among your other plants without the risk of the humidity going up. But if you are looking to grow plants like the mosaic, nerve plant, or Fittonia is what it's also known as, or string of frogs, or anything that requires high humidity, and you want to create like a terrarium with a bog atmosphere, great, go for it. Just keep in mind, though, that once again, these carnivorous plants have a freeze period. So the rest of your plants can't go through that freeze. But that's a whole side tangent on carnivorous plants. But pinguiculas, butterworts, same thing. I highly recommend them. California carnivores is where I got mine. They're highly recommended in the pinguicula communities. There's a few other ones that I can't think of right now, but you're most likely going to have to buy them online. Sorry, not sorry. But anyways, we got a little off topic there. ADHD is great.
Yeah. We have been at this episode for about almost 2 hours now.
Yeah.
So we are gonna end it here, if that is okay with you. If you want to go ahead and tell them any recommendations you have.
Yeah. So once again, I'm Tobias Locason. I'm always down to talk stuff. So if you find me anywhere, it's cabinet, like a kitchen cabinet of chaos. And I recommend the Practical Herbal Medicine Handbook. The foreword is by Berke Lenahan, which is an RN. And then we also have the National Geographic Guide to Medicinal Herbs. It is very well researched, very well documented and photographed. And then that one has got a bunch of authors, but you will say that the foreword is by Andrew, I think it's Wheel, Weil. Um, I also recommend the Hearth Witches Compendium for recipes. And then Alexis Nicole, the Black Forager. She is by far one of my favorite resources to go to if you're like, hey, I don't know what books to use. I highly recommend follow whatever she has recommended, follow people she suggests, then go to them, then make sure you follow who, like, let it branch out through trusted people. Always trust the people that you know are still alive as professional foragers. Don't pick mushrooms unless you know it. And then, of course, don't put it in your mouth until you are
Don't be
sure
a
that
me,
it's safe.
basically.
Yeah, don't be Sora.
I am caveman forager.
You're what?
I'm a caveman forager.
Yeah, I thought you said Cajun forager, and I was like, that's a very specific type of forager.
Nah,
but yes,
I do love Cajun seasonings and foraging them.
Yeah, see, I'm not great with spicy stuff. But yeah, all in all, gonna quote Alexis Nicole here: "Happy snacking, don't die."
Exactly. And thank you as always for coming to the Fox's Tales. I hope you enjoyed today's little tale. And as always, have a lovely day, Star Tales. We'll be posting this to YouTube later. I'll probably link some of the stuff. Well, not link, but I'll post things about, like, in the description of that video of the recipes for the seasoning things she gave us. Well, sorry.
You're good.
Honestly, I might just listen to lo-fi after this. My brain's fried.
No, you're good. I've got my D&D game tonight, so I gotta prep for that.
Yeah. But anyway, lovely Star Tales. Thank you for coming, and thank
Thank
you,
you for having
Toby,
me.
for coming on.
Yeah, no, pleasure. I love this. Anytime.
Yeah, hopefully you'll come back to talk about the like old shows and how some of these franchises have stuck around, because you seem to really enjoy talking about that before the stream.
I mean, considering my age, it's just my childhood.
Considering I love a lot of stuff that's basically lost except for wrong VHSs. I mean,
Lord, you're like, I like old stuff. I'm like, hi, I am old stuff.
Dan, you flirting with me? Joking.
You can call me Old Spice. No, I'm kidding.
Have a
Oh,
wonderful day,
goodness.
Star Tales.